Alright, for this Jigsaw tutorial we're going to be working with the Redwood Recluse Large 10 tree, which is found right here. The only modifications I've made are that I cut away a layer here and here, which I will show you later why. And I added a ladder in the center, and there's a cow stuck in there. Amazing. So I have already been working a little bit. I copied this middle part. This one has one layer, the missing layer at the bottom, and the missing layer at the top that one doesn't have. I used it so I could select the bottom of the tree and the top of the tree easily. So this will be the main piece that we'll be working with. So I've made two modifications on the main piece. This one has a two-way exit, and this one has a four-way exit. The connectors, red and green marked here, so it's easier to see. And there's blue ones as well, we'll get to those later. They indicate where the connectors will be placed. So I've already gone ahead and made objects out of all of these. There's still a slab here, which probably went into the object as well. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I have these objects saved. I'll show you in the folder. There they are. So you saw the three-way, you saw the cross, the path up, the staircase. There's a room, and then the main pieces. I don't know where the bottom one went. So we have the room, we have the four-way split, we have a three-way split, we have a staircase, we have a path which is inclined, and we have a straight path. And we have some endings here that we can also use. So with Jigsaw, it's important to always have a starting piece, which will be the foot in our case, because that's actually what we'll be placing on the terrain. But if you would use a village in a similar fashion to this, then you would usually just use this piece, and that would spawn somewhere, and you would connect everything to that. So let's get to making some jigsaw pieces. I've already created all the objects here, so we don't have to do that anymore. But after you have created the objects, you have to create jigsaw pieces out of them. Jigsaw, it has a very simple rs jigsaw command. I'm just going to use abbreviations; it's easier. And there's four commands that you really will be using. It's creating a jigsaw piece, which you'll only have to do at the start of it. Then you can edit it. You can save the currently open jigsaw pieces, which just goes along with edit and with create. And you can place a jigsaw structure, but we'll get to that later. Alright, so in order to create jigsaw pieces, we're just going to start with the two main pieces here. So we're going to do IR, jigsaw, create, and then we're going to give it a name, which is going to be treehouse dash. This makes a new folder. If you put a dash in your command anywhere, it makes a new folder. And we're just going to call it main two-way. Main dash two-way. So we'll make another subfolder, main, just like we did here. We have main two-way. It's easier to call it the same thing, so you can just copy this bit, and then do jigsaw, which is the name of the project you're working in, and just paste it again. This is the object it'll be using. That's why it's easy to use the same folder structure in your jigsaw structure as in your object structure. Then we create it, and then above us it pastes the object down. All right, as you can see in chat, you can right-click blocks to make new connectors. If you click them again from another angle, then it will change the connector, like so. Shows the connector. Click it again, changes the direction of connector. Click it again, changes the direction of the connector. You can also shift plus right-click to remove them. Oops, I have weird controls, so don't worry about it. You just have to press shift. Yeah, see the slab got copied as well. So you see these fences are a bit weird now, but that's because I did this. I recommended if you use fences or other stuff like walls that also connects, then it's better to just build it like this. So this block state is copied as well. Otherwise, there will be no connection between these two, and it'll look really weird. So we're just going to put a connector here and a connector here. And we have to somehow connect this structure with the foot of the tree. So we're actually going to make a connector here that's pointing that direction. Because if I would place it here, then the top piece can actually rotate along the axis randomly, and we can't really tell how it's rotated. So we have to we have to do it like in this direction. And what we're actually going to do in the configuration is we're going to move this connector one down, right? Because we can't click anything here because there's no blocks there, but we can actually move it one down. And then on the bottom piece, we'll actually make a connector that points in this direction, so towards me now, and that will nicely connect up, just like that. Okay, so that's this big piece done. Then we do ir jig save, and it saves the object. And then if we go back into our project, then we get a new folder, Jigsaw pieces, treehouse, main, 2-way. All right, we're going to quickly repeat that for the 4-way to get some repetition in the way. Okay, so that's just the 4-way. Gives us the 4-way object. Right click, right click, right click, right click. And here on the ladder, same trick as before, right click on the ladder in that direction. And we save it, and it's saved. All right, so fast forward a little bit. I repeated the same steps that I just showed for all the other objects. And while doing so, I actually noticed I made a mistake where with the main first piece and with the second piece, I forgot to make a connector for the top part of the tree, which is not connected to this piece, of course. I only made a connector for the bottom, which would connect to the bottom of the tree, but the top of the tree would just not be added. So what we're going to do is we're going to do ir jig edit, and we're going to specify the name, treehouse main 4-way, and then here we have it. But then we still have to add a connector at the top. I made a connector on the top tree, which is facing towards me now. So what we're going to do is punch out this block and place one here. That block will actually not be removed in the structure. This is just a preview. So we can just place the connector here like this. And then we're going to either move this one up or the one on the top one down. Doesn't matter. ir jig save. Repeat the same for the 2-way. Punch out the block, place the connector, save. All right. Now we have every single of one of these structures inside our folders here. Here we have all 5 of these. We have a room, 1 in each. We have 4 objects in the main. Here we have the end structures and the objects nicely corresponding 1-to-1. All right, so what we're actually going to do now is we're going to start with a bit of a top-down approach to show you guys the steps. So inside this folder, we're going to do new folder jigsaw-structures. Inside here, we're going to make a new file, and we're going to call it treehouse.json. We're going to edit this file. And here we're going to simply add pieces. It gives autocomplete. That's why you should use VS Code. And inside pieces, we can simply do. Let's actually make this a little bit easier and open this as a VS Code folder. Then we can see the pieces here. So as pieces, we're going to do treehouse main actually, yeah, we have to do the bottom bottom. All right, we save this, and then we can specify a couple more things here. Eventually, we'll get to that later. What we can actually do now in game is we can do ir jig paste or place, and then we can name the object, the structure, which is just treehouse, and then it generates one piece because we have not set up any connectors yet, and that's our bottom. All right, so back to our pieces. We just start from where we start. So we start at the bottom, and we have only one connector here. Very easy. And if we remember, then it's simply the ir jig edit treehouse main bottom. It was a connector right here, which is pointing to the back of the tree, and the connector on the object above is pointing in the other direction from the ladder. So what we're going to do is we're going to set inner connector to true, because the connector for the one above will actually be outside. Of its own structure and inside of this one. So if we would not put that to true, then it wouldn't be connected at all. And then there's multiple options, but we're just going to use the pools system. since that's the easiest. And we're just going to do, we're going to call our new pool treehouse-to main. And then we're going to make a new folder, which is going to be Jigsaw pools. Inside this, we're going to make a new folder, treehouse. Inside here, it nicely makes them together. We are going to make a new file called toMain.json. Inside here, make a simple Jigsaw object, and we're going to simply call it pieces. And we're going to specify the piece, treehouse-main-2way, and then a second item, treehouse main 4way. Now, we're going to go back to our 2way and 4way connectors, and we're going to find the connector that was in the bottom of the tree, which is going to connect to the bottom piece and move it one down. We're going to search for the lowest Y, because this is, of course, the lowest position in the tree. If I'm correct, yeah. And we're going to make that one lower. On this one, we're going to go to this one, search the same one, -7 is the lowest, make it one lower. Now, if we do ir jig save, ir jig edits treehouse main 2way, then we actually see that this bottom piece gets a nice block of stone, and it's just looking into nothing, and this block is not actually in the structure still. Ir jig save. That's a bug, doesn't matter. And then inside the pools here, we don't actually specify anything, because this connector is not going to connect to anything, it is going to be connected to. By that I mean it will only be accessed from somewhere else, and it's not actually trying to connect to anything else. All right, if we now try to place our jigsaw structure. Never works the first try, nor the second. Interesting. We may have made a mistake. Perhaps this has to be also true. Don't actually think that's the case, but who knows? Maybe I'm just stupid. I have a feeling. All right, after a bit of searching, I found my issue. I forgot to specify the pool in the bottom piece. So the bottom connector, of course, needs the pool treehouse-to main. Save. Go back into the structure. Oh, I remember why that happened. I saved the object again while I was editing it. Okay, then we just place it, and then generates two pieces. And there we go. This is our middle piece, and it nicely lines up the ladder. You don't even see that it's two different pieces. Don't worry about that. Okay. And then if we just try to place that a couple more times, well, yep, still the same one. There we go. See, this is the 2way. So now we have only 2 exits, and here we have 4 exits. Okay. Now we're going to add the top piece. So if we go into the top piece, remember we have to have this one connector, but it's one too high, so we're going to make it one lower, -23. It doesn't connect to anything, it's only going to be connected from. So we're going to make a new file here, which is going to be toTop.json pieces treehouse-main-top. If I remember correctly, I named it top. Yes. And we can close this file and go back into our middle pieces, and we are going to find the top connector. There's one connector which has a very high Y. That's the top one, of course. And we're just going to specify in the pools to top. And we're going to do the same thing for the 4way. To top. Go back into our thing here. What's this? I think I make a mistake somewhere. Main top. Oh, yes, I did make a mistake. All right, so if we're going to look into the console here real quick, an error popped up when I ran the command. We'll improve this debugging system later, but for now this works. It shows me here, couldn't find Jigsaw pool to top. That indicates to me that it can't find this Jigsaw pool to top, which of course makes sense because it's not actually to top, it's actually inside the treehouse folder. So we go back into here, we do treehouse -2 top, and we repeat the same thing for this one, treehouse -2 top. Then we go back into our game, try to place a structure, and now it works very nicely. And there's our full tree. All right, now we're going to simply repeat the same thing for the other pools. So we're going to make a new file, which is going to be paths.json, which is going to contain a long list of things. Pieces again, list of items, treehouse dash three-way, treehouse dash cross, treehouse dash, we're just going to copy this line a couple times, path dash up, path, stair, and those are all our paths basically. And we're going to make another Jigsaw pool, which is going to be ends.json, which is just always useful to specify when you want to end stuff. And that's going to be, just going to make a list of things again, treehouse-end-1, end-2, end-3, that's all the pieces in here. And here we're going to have /room/1. Remove the comma on the end. Oh, I actually made a big mistake here. Pieces. There we go. And now we have our Jigsaw pools done. Then we go back into our main two-way, and then we have some empty connectors remaining, which are just these two. Inside here, we're going to specify the pool, treehouse dash. We're going to use a path in the start. We don't want to immediately end paths. And we're going to do the same thing here, treehouse paths. And that's this object done. I'm just going to copy this entire thing so I can copy it over to here, replace this, replace this, replace this, and the last one, replace. Wait a second. Oh, jeez. I think I replaced the bottom one on accident. Yes, I did. See, this one is the bottom one, so I don't actually replace this one. I have to replace this one, and I have to replace this one. See, these are all at -5. Nicely select them for you, and those are the ones that you want to select. I think I may have made the same error here. I have, so this is just going to be removed. Save. So we have a 2 top, and we have paths here, and this is another, oops, and then we have another paths here. All right, I'm going to simply copy the paths pool here, and I'm just going to do this for one object and then do the rest off camera or off recording. So you can also specify multiple here, of course, treehouse-ends, and then it's just going to select a path or an end, pretty much randomly. So I'm going to connect all the rest of the pieces and get back to you when that is done. All right, and we're back. To simply recap what I did, on the end caps, we don't actually specify pool because those are just the ends. They're not going to be connected to anything. They're going to be connected to something else, by something else. So they're only going to be called, they're not going to be calling. For the 2-way and the 4-way, we've already shown. And then for the room, we don't specify a pool here. And we're going to get to this pool here later. This is the up positive Y pool, which is the connector, the blue connector that I showed you a while ago. We'll get back to that in a second. So then we have our 3-way, which has the paths, the ends, the paths, and the ends. If we actually go back to our structure here in game, then we see that here there are actually red and green connectors, where this connector is green and this connector is red, and this is one object. So this green and red connector are in the same object. I actually gave this green connector another pool as well, but that doesn't actually matter because if it's already connected to something, then it won't try to connect again, if that makes sense. So I've repeated the same thing for the cross, for the path up, for the path, and for the stair, where the stair also has one of those up positive Y blue connectors. There you can see it. And this one does as well. and this room has 2. And that's pretty much our jigsaw structure done. So if we paste the structure now, then we get 16 pieces, and there we have it. A pretty complete jigsaw structure. And if we generate more, that's only 8 pieces, but then we have a nice staircase to show. Then we generate another one, 17 pieces. Get the side one as well, staircases, more paths. And that's basically how you create a jigsaw structure. Now we can of course specify a new pool, which has, for example, a brewing stand or a crafting table or a furnace or a chest. And we can just place them onto the blue connectors like that. That's just single object connectors. For now, this is pretty much everything you have with jigsaw structures. There's of course a lot of placement options. Note that these placement options will actually also move the connectors, or actually will only move the structure itself. So if you would, for example, do the translation, and you would move this to a -100 or -20, that's the 3-way connector. And we then paste the jigsaw structure here, and we look at the 3-way connector. Then we see that it's placed 10 blocks down, but the connectors aren't actually moved with it. So then you would also have to move the connectors down by 10. Or, yeah, so that's 12. You can clamp, so that's basically the min and max height. You can place it on water, you can place it underwater, you can place additional objects, such as decorations, round decorations. You can place snow, you can select the carving mode and the placement mode. For example, for the base of the tree, we could do something like vacuum. Well, I can't find vacuum ever. And that will suck up the terrain towards the object. So the last thing that's important is how do we actually place the jigsaw structures to be placed automatically in our world. For that, we're just going to make a quick new folder, biomes, new file, jigsaw or treehouse biome, JSON, name, treehouse, and then inside of here you could do something like, or you would actually just do jigsaw structures. And then in here you can make a list, and you do, I'm just going to quickly grab the example for the actual overworld v2 pack. Whoops, that's the get ignore file. Almost clicked right there. Biomes, let's select, I think Hot Beach has a, maybe not. Let's see. Temperate Plains definitely has one. Here you have jigsaw structures, and then you select the rarity. That's how many times per chunk, or what's the chance per chunk that it spawns. And then you specify the name of the structure, which is exactly the same as the jigsaw structure name you specified here. So in our case, that would just be treehouse right here. All right, that wraps it up for the jigsaw tutorial. There's a lot more information on the wiki on creating your own connectors from scratch inside the configuration, more placement options, but this should give you a general idea of how to create jigsaw structures. I hope this was helpful.